Hello, and welcome to Music Maps, the Rock and Roll Book Club podcast. In each episode, we use a place as a jumping off point for a conversation about music, anywhere from the obvious to the obscure.
Yeah, so welcome to part 2 of our conversation with Nick Banks from Pulp. His book, So It Started There, is out on Omnibus. This time we're focusing on the Different Class album. So we're moving into 1995, including but not limited to, you've got obviously Common People, the iconic Glastonbury gig, and of course the Brit Awards the following year. So this is peak Pulp, I think, probably. So hello Nick, welcome back.
All right.
Hello. So one day Jarvis brings in a cassette and he's got a recording of a track called Common People.
Yeah.
How quick do you all realise this is something special?
For me, not very,
Right.
Perfectly honest. Well,
What did it sound like at
awful.
this point?
It sounded awful. Jarvis is very poor at recording his ideas, or certainly was in those days when it was literally one of those long cassettes and you use 2 fingers to press the record and play button down. So you just get this...
So rudimentary techniques.
Very, very rudimentary. And we start playing this new song. What's it called, Geoff? Common People. And like, well, that's like a derogatory term in these parts. Anyway.
Commoners.
And you never know what the lyrics are about, because all you hear is just mumble, you know.
So this is a trait of Jarvis's where you don't hear the proper lyrics till you're actually recording.
Very, very rarely.
So you would mumble them in the practice.
Yes, I'm working them out, that sort of thing. And so this song, it seemed to kind of going on for ages. Not a great deal seems to be happening in it. But you persevere, and it's got a bit of bite to it, and it rumbles along in a nice sort of runaway train effect. So we stuck with it, and we started to say, well, we need to record this. We debuted it at Reading Festival, I think, in '94, and it seemed to go down really well.
Was it unfinished at that point? Kind of?
No, I don't think it probably wasn't unfinished. You probably, again, still can't really hear what Jarvis is on about. So he was very adamant, right, we need to get this recorded. His and hers is we've done that now, we're going to start recording this. So we recorded it with Chris Thomas.
So this is at Townhouse?
At the Townhouse, Shepherd's Bush.
So how do you choose Chris Thomas as the producer? Was there other options?
There were some other options. We kind of had a list because we thought Ed Bull had done all right, but we thought maybe for the next record, we thought there's going to be a lot of interest in it. There's going to be a lot of people really looking forward to it. It's got to have to help your career, it's got to have a bit of a bigger hitter name producer on it. So we looked at a few options. Stephen Street, he'd been doing all the sort of Blur, Suede, not Suede, but loads of bands. Stephen Street. We did a song with Stephen Street. Jarvis thought he was too clean.
Right. Very
clean young man. We went to see Stephen Hague, who I think had done the Pet Shop Boys and stuff. He was talked about. I think we went and had a chat with him.
Trevor Horn?
I don't think Trevor Horn. Jeff Lynne.
Right, okay.
Was talked about because
that's an intriguing thought.
Mr. Blue Sky was kind of is a bit of a musical template of Common People in a way. You get the outro bit of Mr. Blue Sky, the sort of the chuggy bit. That was sort of the basis to the start of Common People. Get it chugging, that sort of thing. So Jeff Lynne was considered. Vince Clarke was considered. Right. But in the end, we had Chris Thomas, and you look at his pedigree of records he's produced, and it's kind of like, hey, they're not bad.
So if any listeners aren't aware, Chris has worked on the White Album, Dark Side of the Moon, Country Life Roxy Music, Brian Ferry, Nevermind the Bollocks, Lion King by Elton John.
For every yin, there's a yang. But so his pedigree was just like some of the records that everyone in the group sort of saying they are amazing, except we started doing Common People with Chris Thomas, who looks at that day did look a little bit like Mick Fleetwood, kind of straggly hair and a beard, with always a very good line in unprintable, unrepeatable rock and roll stories about Elton, David Bowie, etc., which would have us rolling around. So it was good. So we started recording this song, Common People.
So you've made this decision to get it recorded quick.
Yeah.
You're looking for this bigger, thicker sound. So was it a difficult song to get it right?
Not particularly, no. We had a way of playing it. We'd been playing it live and in rehearsal studio, and that kind of had a bit like a runaway train vibe going. It starts at a measured pace, but then the tempo gets wound up slowly over the song, so you get into this sort of frenetic finale. And we started playing it, and obviously, without getting too into the details, in the recording studio, everything's got to be kind of mapped out so that you can add on bits later on. That's all going to be the right tempo. All the electronics are going to knit together correctly. So the idea is that the drummer plays along to a click track, so it keeps the steady tempo from start to finish. Could be 135 beats per minute or something. So it was never written with a click track or anything like that. It was just how the song gathers its momentum, gathers its tempo. Some would say for a drummer that's a bad thing. I don't. I think that's a added bonus because it gives the song an emotional power, I think. And so Chris said, right, we need to get this tempo locked in for the entire song. So why don't we start? We'll see what beats per minute it starts at, and we shall then continue that tempo to the end of the song. Righto, Chris, you know best.
That sounds easy enough.
Yeah, so we start off at what it might have been 130 beats per minute or something as the song starts out. So halfway through the song, everyone is bored to tears because it's so ploddy and slow. Right, forget that.
So it doesn't work.
Doesn't work. Why don't we start the song at the finished tempo and keep it all the way through? All right, Chris, you know best. Comically, ridiculously fast at the start. It's like, this isn't working. So ended up having to do this thing where it starts, so the click track maps the actual tempo of my playing throughout, so it keeps the runaway train effect, which for me is one of the great things about the song, that it's kind of imperceptible ramping up of the tempo, makes it more punchy, makes it more emotionally direct, and you feel that the listener is bowled along by this hurricane effect, which songs don't really do. It goes from something like 130 to 155 beats per minute, which is a vast change. Modern music is all on 120. Dance music,
yeah.
It's all the same tempo all on. This is it's a 15 beats per minute jump throughout a song. If a song jumps by 2 beats per minute, you notice it. This is 15 beats per minute, so it's a vast change.
It's kind of what makes it, though, in the end.
I'd like to say, not wishing to bang my own drum, pun intended, that is the beauty that I brought to the song. and the bit in the middle where it goes...
That's one of the best bits.
Well, we're playing this song over and over again in rehearsal studios. I was interminably bored playing the same thing, so I thought, that's what we need. We need that. Do that in that bit. And then and then do it again in that other bit. Yeah. So it really springs you into the next bit.
But that speeding up is what gives it the drama. And I'd never quite, until I read your book, I'd never quite put my finger on, because I haven't got that technical knowledge. Until I read the book, I was like, I've been wondering why that song has that effect on people for so long, and that's kind of it in the end. Isn't it?
In the studio, you realise that. Again, that's such a great sort of hook of the song that it speeds up. Da-da.
So what about Chris Thomas and the vacuum cleaner?
So we're in the townhouse recording the song, and everything's going tickety-boo. It's all going along nicely, and I think it took us about 2 weeks to record it. And he's in there, he's mixing away. He's got the nice summer's day. No, it came out in May, so this would probably be in the winter. They got the door open anyway. The song's playing away, and there's a cleaner in the corridor vacuuming the carpet. Like this. And so Chris is doing his stuff. And that's it. Every now and again he'll have a little bit of a tantrum. Throws his stuff in the air. Will someone shut that vacuum clean up? We're making a hit record in here. And we were kind of like, Chris has gone off on one. Then you realise what he said, and you thought, he didn't say we're trying to make a hit record. He says we are making a hit record.
So there's a confidence there from him.
Absolute massive confidence. Yeah, and this is it. This is going to be a hit record, proper bona fide hit record. If Chris Thomas says so, then
yeah, he knows his stuff.
Exactly.
So the cover photo is taken at Frank's Cafe in Maida Vale, still standing to this day.
Yeah.
And the band are adamant that Common People should come out immediately.
Yeah.
Despite not having the rest of the album finished, or in some cases even written.
That's right, yeah. Like I've alluded to before, we've suffered so many times with records not coming out when you want them to come out, because
5-year gaps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It really gets on your nerves, and sometimes songs have shelf lives, and we've had some great songs that missed their time, and then they kind of got old and stale and you've moved on. And we, after what we'd happened in the studio, we knew that we'd got something that was really, really strong, really interesting, really different. And we knew we were in a position in our sort of career trajectory that, you were in a position to strike now. And so obviously Ireland are going, you can't release a record without the album follow up in 5 weeks' time or whatever. That's just commercial suicide, you can't do that. But Jarvis was super, super adamant. This is now. This song has to be released now. And so, again, it was one of those push and pulls. Like, we acquiesced putting babies on his and hers when we didn't want to. Maybe now it's your turn to acquiesce to us.
Oh, yeah.
And we're in maybe the position of strength here. And they said, all right. So it was released. I think we'd not even written half of Different Class by the time it actually been
But I love the
released.
idea of Frank's calf being the photo on the cover, because Jarvis has obviously come from Sheffield to London.
Yeah.
He's met all these people who are kind of in the song. The whole lyrical content of that song is, for me, a northerner who's come to London
is, very
and
much
had
so.
those experiences.
Yeah, it's like, you don't miss something till, you've gone away and realise, because when you're immersed in something, you don't realise what it's about until you have that hindsight of moving away and looking back and going, right, that's what that place is like. Or I'm now here with these people who are not what you encounter back in Sheffield by a long way,
No, certainly not. So it comes out May of 95. Sorry, I'm going to do that again. So it comes out May of 1995 to blanket airplay and the now predictable universal acclaim. Were you genuinely thinking it might get to number one?
We were kind of confident that it was going to do really well. And so you have these things called midweek. So it comes out, people buy it, and you hear on like the Wednesday or Tuesday or something what it's doing, and it was kind of like, it's very, very close to being number one. It might be currently number two, but it's only a few hundred units behind.
It can be
number
disingenuous though, because a lot of bands that have followings, their fans all go and buy it straight away.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas a lot of the stuff that gets number one is stuff that people buy very casually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we were confident, but not entirely sure. Someone was saying, we think it's going to go to number one. It might not. We don't know. So it was very touch and go. So we ended up in Birmingham, of all places. They were doing like a Radio 1 roadshow, the chart rundown. And so we were all called to Birmingham, and they were going to do a live rundown of the top 20 or something with all these different artists. And so when your chart position was read out, you went out and you mimed on the radio to your song. Mimed on the radio. Yeah. So, we were in this room, and gradually the room's thinning out as people are called to go and mime on the back of a lorry facing the good people of Birmingham. And I think it got to number 4 or something, and there was just us, and it might have been Boyzone left in this room and looking at each other like, and
the song that kept it off was Robson and Jerome.
Robson and Jerome, they were absent, and they sort of said, and at number 3 we've got Boyzone. So they all troop off to mime on the back of a lorry to the radio audience. So there was just us left in the room, thinking, it's either number 2 or number 1.
Yeah.
What's it going to be? Meanwhile, while this is happening, Jarvis has put his contact lenses in, but he's forgot to take the cleaning solution out of the contact lenses. So he's put them into his eyes with this basically acid on. So his eyes are streaming. And eventually, whoever was announcing a wonderful Radio 1 said, and straight number 2, the common people. Strange mixture of emotions. Bollocks, we're not number 1. My God, we're number 2. So we traipsed out onto the back of this lorry to perform the mime to our new number 2 hit record, with Jarvis with his eyes streaming down his face, and it was chucking it down as well. So we're miming along to our new hit record. Jarvis obviously can't see what he's doing, slips on his 3-inch Cuban heels, goes flying, so he's ended up lying on his back in the rain on a flatbed truck in Birmingham with his eyes hurting, getting rained on, miming his new number 2 hit record.
Was this filmed?
Quite strange.
Or...
No.
So
it's
never surfaced.
I've got some photographs that were taken from the side of the stage of us miming on the radio, but that's about it. But so the bittersweet moment of being number 2 rather than number 1. But look where you've come from.
Yeah.
Take it.
Number 2 still very good. So going back to Sheffield, most of the album is written
Yeah.
back at the rehearsal room in the railway arch, above the pottery warehouse.
Yeah.
How did Disco 2000 come together?
Well, that might have been done actually was it in London or was it Sheffield? Maybe a mix of the two, but Jarvis obviously was very much a collector of junk. Any kind of junk shop, jumble sale. Now it's charity shops, of course. Jumble sales don't exist anymore. But yeah, you used to get junk shops back in the day. And he'd often trawl through there, and he'd often come back to the rehearsal room with a new piece of equipment, and that would often spur on a new bit of writing. So I think he brought this synth in that might have been his sister's husband's. I think it might have been a Roland Juno 6 or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. But he got this thing, or it might have been a Korg Delta, something like that. And he started playing this sort of 2-note riff on this keyboard, that kind of thing. We were saying, you can't do that. That's bloody Glory by Laura Branigan. You can't play that. No, it's not. If we do that other bit, it's not that. All right, God. So anyway, we wrote this song around it. Still saying, sounds like Laura Branigan to me, Jarvis. They said, all right, ditch the keyboard bit. We'll do that through a Marshall stack. So he changed it.
So once it's played on a guitar,
it was different. Yeah, you say, all right, that's fine. It's different, yeah. So yeah, that sort of, I don't know, just kind of, that's it really. It's the bringing in of something new to the rehearsal room often does inspire new stuff.
Has it ever been ascertained who Deborah was?
I don't think so for definite. I think
a few people have made the claim. I think.
Yeah, there was a BBC tried to do a programme trying to find Deborah.
Right.
And I think that various people have claimed it, but I think that Jarvis has never said for the record that is the person, Deborah. I think it might be a bit of a composite, or he just made it up thinking about someone. Because if you're from Greece, you're not really going to put Deborah, right? Let's face it. Anyway,
feels unlikely.
Yeah. So anyway, it was from Greece. No, that's the other song.
No,
I confused myself. Anyway,
that's Common People.
Yeah, you're right. I just think it might be a bit of a composite of various people, but who knows?
Yeah, I'd imagine it probably was, but I think most of it was written over 2 nights. Jarvis's sister's house.
A lot of the words, yeah.
Incredible.
A lot of the words, yeah. Obviously, you got the tunes, but it's just getting those details. Plonked a bottle of brandy down and started getting through that and started writing. Thank you, Mr. Courvoisier.
Yes, a well-spent 2 nights, wasn't it?
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
So indie bands are entering the mainstream now, and not for the first time, an injury to a guitarist works in the band's favour when the Verve have to pull out of a support slot with Oasis at Sheffield Arena.
Right, yeah.
So what happened? How did it fall for Pulp?
Well, again, it was kind of, this momentum of, let's call it what people are going to realise, Britpop was building, etc. And the phenomenon of Oasis, I mean, we'd turned them down to support Pulp in a previous tour. Because I think Jarvis thought they were a bit laddie. For once, probably correct.
And I think you'd bumped into them in America prior to this.
Yeah, we'd been to see them in this little club in San Francisco.
That must be their first US tour.
It could well have been, yeah, it was a tiny place. It was electric, it really was an electric gig, it was amazing. And yeah, they got super popular super quickly, and they were playing at Sheffield Arena. And again, it was like the Pulp Fiction thing. It's like, we want to go, so if we play with them as well, we're definitely going. And it was a chance to have a bit of a laugh because no one knew that we were playing, and Jarvis just started playing the first 2 notes to Babies as we were all off stage. The gasp of the audience.
So it's a complete surprise for the audience.
Surprise, yeah.
And obviously, with it being Sheffield,
it was
Pulp are well known.
Yeah,
Sheffield.
it's a special kind of thing, just done just for what the hell, And then we had a chance to go to the gig, hang out and get drunk after. Happy days.
Very good. So obviously, Mark Webber joins as a full-time member around this time, and then a phone call comes from Geoff Travis.
Yeah, very softly spoken, Geoff. Nick, Geoff, it's Geoff, yeah. Hi, Geoff, yeah. All right. Just thought I'd run this by you. What do you think about headlining Glastonbury a week on Saturday? You what, Geoff? Yeah, Glastonbury, week on Saturday. As you know, Stone Roses fellas broke his arm and can't play the gig, so they wonder if Pulp fancy playing. Headlining, Saturday night. Yeah. Well, you don't say no to that kind of thing, do you? You don't say, ooh, I was thinking about tidying my sock drawer that night, but you go, oh my God, Geoff. Yes, God, yes. You don't say no. So this was
Say yes and figure it out afterwards.
And then put the phone down and go, oh, Jesus Christ. So we were recording the record, mixing it. So we basically took over the live room at the townhouse while Chris was mixing the record, so we could rehearse up, because we played some like 6 new songs at the Glastonbury gig, which is crazy thing.
I think it's 3.
Was it 3?
It's 3, yes.
3.
According to the book.
According to the book.
Which might be right. But
3. Maybe 4. Maybe one was played before.
It's on 2 weeks' notice. You've got 2 weeks.
So we had to rehearse up, and all the tour buses and hotels in Glastonbury were booked up. So we sent one of the roadies out to buy big tents and sleeping bags for everyone. So he duly did that, and we all turned up, and we camped backstage, and then we had to sit there on the Saturday afternoon listening to all the bands going before, thinking that, oh my God, we're going to have to play in front of 80, 100,000 people, playing some songs they've never heard before. Playing some songs they'd never heard before to a band they haven't bought a ticket to see.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
so for context, the Stone Roses have had to pull out because John Squire's fallen off a bike.
Fact fans, it was the second gig in a row that we've been replaced a band whose guitarist had broken a bone.
And you end up playing with
the
Oasis.
previous gig to that was the Oasis gig at the Sheffield Arena.
So you play with Oasis and then you get to headline Glastonbury.
Exactly. And so...
It's a good stroke of luck.
So, yeah, John Squire had fallen off his bike, bust his collarbone, and they couldn't play the gig. So, from memory, Glastonbury rang round a few people. Rod Stewart, do you fancy playing? No. Etc. Tried a few other folks. Everyone said no. So I think we might have been 4th or 5th on the list. We, of course, say yes, because we just see it was a massive, massive break.
But they were very keen to have Pulp, though.
Yeah, I think
Glastonbury
so.
were
quite
keen on it, yeah.
You end up, you're listening to the bands before, like PJ Harvey, Orbital, etc.
Yeah, so playing the Pyramid stage that day were the Dave Matthews Band, Indiegogo's, Everything But The Girl, Jeff Buckley, the Boo Radleys, Jamiroquai, PJ Harvey and Orbital. Yeah. So were you nervous?
An understatement.
Yeah, so yes.
Everyone was in there, sort of, porter cabin dressing room, bricking it basically. And so I'd every now and again I'd pop out and see what's happening on the main stage and report back. Thought it'd be helpful. So I report back, Orbital on, it's going down amazing, massive, millions of people there, it's going down amazing. PJ Harvey, she's in a pink sprayed-on catsuit, looks amazing, she's going down great.
It's a very famous PJ Harvey gig, that.
Exactly. Yeah. So when it comes to art, we're sat here, you've never seen a group of 6 people, grey, ashen with nerves. You're kind of gripping onto the chair and feel it vibrating, not for the bass frequencies from the stage, because you've got 6 people bricking it in this room. It's difficult to describe. Everyone was utterly shit. Because we were just thinking, well, is it going to be the clods of mud thrown at us because we aren't Ian Brown and John Squire and Rennie, etc.? Is it going to be bottles of piss because we're not giving them fool's gold and waterfall, etc.? So anyway, we stride out and we start playing our songs, and it seems to be going all right. Don't look at the audience because it's going to freak you out. Played our new songs. They seem to go down all right. So we're finished with Common People, which obviously Glastonbury's the end of June. That had been at the charts start of May, so it was really fresh
in everyone's head.
And got such a great reaction. So we start playing that, and halfway through that, I realise for the first time I can hear the audience singing one of your songs back at you at incredible volume, and you're just playing ahead, just going, because you'd never heard that before.
From 2 people in Derby to
100,000 in
the Pyramid stage.
In Somerset.
It's not actually the Pyramid stage; it burnt down.
It burnt down. It was just
a generic stage. Yeah.
But we'll still call it a Pyramid stage for now.
Pulp have been there 15 years. And for me, I remember it so clearly that Glastonbury, watching it on TV. There was Oasis on the Friday, Pulp on the Saturday. And the thing that I so clearly can see now is they've stuck at it for 15 years. This is their moment. They're going to seize this moment no matter what. Was it tricky choosing the songs because the album wasn't out?
Yeah, it was, because, you want, when you're playing a festival set, you want to be playing songs that people know. But then Jarvis said, why don't we do those new ones? A few of those new ones. You're like, oh, God. And then, playing a new one just in an ordinary gig is quite a nerve-wracking
But in
thing.
fairness to Jarvis, the new songs that are played are Sorted for Reason Whizz, Misshapes and Disco 2000.
Yeah.
So they're
Not
all
bad.
They're all bangers, aren't they,
all
really?
Bangers, yeah.
But to an unknown crowd.
When you're playing stuff in the rehearsal, you might think, we've got this, but you throw in the curveball of an audience, and even if it's 2 people, 20 people, 200, 2,000, 200,000, that puts a different spin on things. So anything can happen. So he was quite.
But even then, the fans still haven't heard the songs, because
Yeah,
on the
exactly.
Friday when Oasis played, they played "Don't Look Back in Anger" and it was unreleased. And when I was at Glastonbury in 2004 and they were playing, and Noel said, "I played this in '95 and it was met by total silence, but it won't be now." It's that thing where you can play whatever, but if no one knows it, doesn't necessarily matter.
It's
does
hard for audiences.
It's a tricky one.
Hard for audiences to process, because it's a new thing. You're like,
But
I say it's brilliant? And everyone goes, "Oh, bitch."
You would have been in the audience thinking this new Pulp album sounds pretty good here, I reckon.
Hopefully. So we came off stage and we realised we could not have done any better than we did. We just came off high as kites. Like, oh my God, we've done it.
I remember it just radiating through the TV how good the performance was.
Yeah, we just came off like, oh my God, that was absolutely amazing. And then all the shenanigans after, Robbie Williams reciting his poetry to us.
What was his
For
poetry
better or
like?
worse? Well, he was kind of all right in a way. He just left Take That, and he was going through his, I'm having a rebel phase, and Noel hanging around, and Liam and that, and all that kind of stuff. So you kind of felt, my God, we've done this. We've reached this moment. Is this going to be the top of the tree, or is it going to go higher? We don't know. But yeah, we just all felt just euphoric after we came off stage. It was amazing.
So obviously, following the triumph of Glastonbury, the double A side of Misshapes, Sorted Reason Whizz again peaks at 2 in the September, but then this tabloid furore follows. How did you react to all that?
Again, it was just really funny, just like what.
I remember finding it funny. I was 15.
What are they moaning about? It's a kind of manufactured anger of this, how dare rock and rollers pollute our youths with these diagrams and all this kind of stuff. It was just, ridiculous. But at the same time, a little bit of controversy never hurt a band, did it?
Never.
So thank you very much, annoyed of Orpington. It all helps, doesn't it? For better or worse.
Ban this sick stunt.
Ban this sick stunt, yeah.
Headline in the Daily Mirror.
I mean, if anyone knows about drug raps, it's journalists. Let's face it.
But obviously, it's got this unusual cover with the drug rap surrounding it. Blah blah. But so something that's often overlooked that I sometimes ask is, obviously there must be a lot of people working here behind the scenes working with Pulp. They don't usually get a lot of credit. So who were the people who were behind the scenes?
Well, obviously, you've got Geoff and Jeanette, who are sort of day-to-day, let's do this, let's try that. You've got the folks at Ireland doing their thing. And then after that, really, you've got people like Scott Peering, who's no longer with us, who would try and get your record on the radio. He did a lot of work in the early days to get us airplay, because, after a while, once you're starting to release records, you realise that if you get on the radio, you might have a chance of getting a record up the charts. If you don't get on the radio, you haven't got a cat and else chance, basically.
Certainly not in that era.
Yeah, and people like John Best at Savage and Best, who are our PR people, who again took us on in the early days, sort of saying, we love the band, we love the personalities in the band, we will work on your behalf, with that sort of thing of once you've signed your big contract and you've got PR budgets, we'll have your PR budget, please. And it was like, yeah, of course, yeah, so there's a bit of, because we'd sort of made a connection with these people, they sort of helped you in the early days and took it on later on. And then I've got your stuff like your regular road crew and stuff like that, who were busy moving stuff around while you were sipping pina coladas.
Yeah, all those people who are working on the road, and they very rarely get any sort of a mention, do they?
Cases,
Driver Neil from the Northeast.
Driver Neil, yeah.
Can you remember where in the Northeast? I'm a Northeast native myself.
I've got a feeling it was Middlesbrough.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's about 20 minutes east of where I'm from.
Yeah.
So
Again,
that caught my eye. Anything from the Northeast always catches my eye.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of music from the Northeast. You get a few. So this homecoming gig takes place at the Sheffield City Hall following month, and your uncle, World Cup winning goalkeeper Gordon Banks, if anyone was not aware, ends up getting mobbed by fans. Presumably that happens every day of his life.
It's, again, sadly no longer with us, but obviously he would be the centre of attention a lot of places where blokes of a certain age would congregate, etc. So we play the City Hall, and beforehand, all the parents were going, because when you play in the City Hall, they're going, oh, it's a really big concert, it must go. And
so the family are impressed with the City Hall more.
Yeah, so
probably more than Glastonbury.
Because they're not going to come to a gig where you're playing, the Dog and Duck to the semicircle of indifference. They want to say, right, this is the proper deal. It's a big show. Invite them all down. So in the City Hall, there's a cellar bar. They're all down there, so I thought, well, I'll go down and see them. So I popped down, and no one's interested in me turning up, of course. Then realised there's a long queue of blokes of a certain age along the bar, not queuing up for a beer, but they were queuing up to say hello and shake Gordon's hand. I couldn't get is he still there? He was sort of mobbed by these blokes and all that. Came to the gig, all that kind of stuff. And afterwards, we'd got a big after-show party for everyone at the City Hall Ballroom, which is part of the City Hall complex here. It's a lovely underground sort of place where you can have a good do. And obviously most of the audience were on the guest list, so they were on this huge queue to get into the after-show party. And it was chucking it down. So my wife-to-be, Sarah, was looking after Gordon and everyone. She said, Gordon, I'm not having you in this queue. I'm going to go right to the front. So she goes to the front to the bouncers, waves her pass and says, look, sorry, it's this queue. I've got Gordon Banks and family. Can we come and get straight? Because he's chucking it down. Bouncer's like, if you've got Gordon Banks with you, I'll eat my hat. Hold on. So they all troops up. Here's Gordon. And this bouncer's, slack-jawed, like, what? In you go, Gordon. So they all traipsed in, so... And whether he had a hat on to eat or not, he's lost in the midst of time, I'm afraid. But yeah.
There we go. So a different class comes out October the 30th. Hang on, I'm going to do that again. A different class comes out on the October the 30th, 1995. Who came up with the title?
Well, the title really came from a friend of ours called Anthony, who did used to play bass in Pulp many years ago, and he did actually leave the band to find God. I don't know if they found him or not, but there was a strange religious cult in Sheffield that he ensnared a lot of young people in the early 90s sort of thing. He went off to join them. Anyway, that's a whole different ball game. And he always had this saying, when anything was good, was different class. Oh, it's different class that. Different class that. Oh, it's different class. So he'd come down to the studio and hang around while we're recording, and we'd play a bit of pool and go to the pub, etc. Everything was still different class. And I remember me and Jarvis playing pool, and I said, well, what do you think of calling it record? He went, different class. Think about it, and then you think about the lyrics you'd been hearing, and you just thought, I can't think of anything more perfect.
Yeah. It's such a clever title on several levels.
And it fits the band so perfectly. It's just like, yeah, that'll do. Just on like you say, on so many different levels. And it came from the saying of one Anthony again, different class.
So where did the inspiration for the cover come from?
Again, from junk shops, really. Jarvis had kind of moved on from junk shops in the mid-90s because obviously a bit of fame and that. So I think he started going to more refined charity shops.
Antique shops,
possibly, yeah. And he bought this box set of all the editions of a 60s magazine called Nova. They had a lot of them had a very particular graphical style, which he really liked. And one of them had this photo montage of black and white figures viewing other scenarios. And he just kind of nicked it off that, really, the sleeve idea. Because obviously a lot of the songs were about observing human interactions from a kind of a remove, And so this just seemed to mirror and reflect a lot of the talking points and a lot of the records, a lot of the tracks.
So for anyone that doesn't know, it's a sleeve with 12 interchangeable covers that you can swap around.
Very rare these days. They're worth a fortune now.
The original, the vinyl.
The original vinyl with the 12 different covers.
I got the CD on the day it came out. Excellent. And I just couldn't decide which cover to use. I was sitting there for ages. So, in terms of the interactive element, it absolutely worked, and I kept changing it every half an hour.
Good, and that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And also the other good thing about that is that we only had to do one photo shoot for the black and white cutouts of the actual band members, and then the Donald, who did the actual photography, just took those off to various different locations to actually. So we had to do very little to do it, which is a bonus.
Yeah. So Donald Milne designs it. The photos by Rankin, who I don't think was very well known at the time.
He did, the black and white pictures. Yeah.
Early career Rankin.
I remember the picture of me where I look like I'm doing the Michael Jackson. I'm standing on my tiptoes. I remember that was because when I had the photograph taken, I was very, very badly hungover. Deeply hungover.
Deeply hungover.
Because, yeah, we're having this photo session. Why not go out the night before, get absolutely wankered, and then you'll be great. You'll look really good for your photograph the next day. It's possibly a good idea.
It doesn't always pan out like that, though.
Hindsight, maybe not. Good job it was black and white, because you... So, yeah. It was playing music in the studio. I was just dancing around, trying to do the Michael Jackson.
Did Russell bump into Donald in Scarborough?
He did, yeah. Russell being a very...
what are the odds of this?
Very straight-laced sort of, Englishman. So he always went to Scarborough for his holidays. Solid Yorkshireman. I'll go to Scarborough for my holidays. So he went, we had a bit of downtime. So went to Scarborough and was walking along the seafront and could see some strange thing going off on the sand. So he decides to wander over, and it's only Donald with his cutout and a donkey taking photographs. And it was just, hi, Donald. Oh, that's strange. There you are. So, who'd have guessed?
Who'd have guessed, exactly. So obviously it debuts at number 1.
Yep.
We mentioned Disco 2000 had come out a little bit earlier. Some big tours follow this. There's a trip to Japan and the US. Yeah. And was there an incident in Bridlington where the local authorities wanted to cancel?
I think that was just the local authorities were. I think it was on the back of the sort of freeze and whiz thing. Obviously, thought we were some degenerates, troublemakers, degenerates. Polluting the minds of the pure youth of Bridlington. So they were really giving the people in the audience in the queue to get in a real hard time. I think there was a bit of argy-bargy and stuff. And the concert will forever stick in my mind for Steve diving into the audience towards the end to chin someone. I believe is the
not a regular occurrence at Pulp.
Absolutely
gigs.
not. So we're playing away, and gets this next minute, I just hear clang as the bass is thrown down to the floor, and I see Steve diving headlong into the audience. This is not unlike Steve. Yeah, very level-headed. Followed very swiftly by a very unlevel-headed chap called Colin Lish, who was sort of our security man, because obviously things have got quite popular around this time. People following Jarvis around, so we had a bit of a bodyguard. So Steve dives into the audience, followed closely by Colin Lish bombing into the audience. Now Colin's about 20 stone. West Ham fan, hard as nails. So if you're a sort of 15-year-old fan, you're getting a 20-stone West Ham fan landing on top of you. Maybe not the best, but he was obviously doing his job, seeing him fly over, very athletic. He proceeds then to, I believe the correct phrase is, chin several people who were in front of Steve. Whether they were the person who was giving jip to Jarvis, the reason why Steve jumped into the audience, I don't know. But anyway, everyone got out. And like, Steve, what? And then we actually managed to finish the song unscathed. But yeah, so it was a case of, if you want to get down the middle of the audience and give Jarvis some stick, you better watch out, because you might get a bass player diving on you, followed by a 20-stone West Ham fan. Who knows? It's not happened since.
Hopefully not again.
No.
Yeah, so Mile End appears on the Trainspotting soundtrack.
Yeah.
The fourth and final single, Something Changed, comes out, gets to number 10. It's followed by this UK arena tour. So I don't know if you remember. Someone ringing you?
Yes, arena tour.
Haven't got long left. We'll be done in 5 minutes. Yeah, so followed by this UK arena tour. I don't know if you remember, I was at this gig at the Newcastle Arena.
Okay,
February the 26th, 1996.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about playing Newcastle?
I remember playing the Newcastle City Hall, the Newcastle Arena.
That must have been a little earlier. That must have been his and hers, the City Hall.
Yeah, it would have been, yeah. Ooh.
Or Newcastle, or just the North
Did an
East in
incident
general.
occur?
Yeah. Did anything happen at this gig?
I don't know. There was, there's so many. That,
there's so many random ones. I
yeah,
just like to get the North East in when I can.
Absolutely.
But we've already covered it with Driver Neil. So how did playing the Shetland Islands come about?
That was a Candida Doyle, the imp of chaos. That was her idea, because she got a lot of relatives in Shetland Islands. She now actually has a house in Shetland.
Oh, right.
So in the sort of thoughts of playing odd gigs in odd places, she went, can we go and play a gig in Shetland? Now, I think our concert agent at the time sort of will have poo-pooed that immediately, going, do you know how much it costs to get abandon their equipment to the Shetland Islands to play in front of 500 sheep? So she sort of went, unbeknownst to us, she went, I will underwrite all the any extra costs, because I want to go and play in Shetland Islands. which is a great thing, you know.
It's a great thing.
So we went and played in the Clickminin Centre in Lerwick, and it was great to play just odd places in front of folks that didn't really get many bands, certainly not bands that were high in the charts, high in the sort of the nation's musical radar, and they were just absolutely going mental. And I don't know if you've been to Shetland Downs, but most people from the Shetland Downs make the rest of Scotland look like, you know, soft shandy drinking southerners.
Okay.
So they're really up there, but great people. It was a great place to go to. You know, we played like Iceland when bands didn't really go to Iceland.
Were you there with Blur?
They came with us because we'd played in somewhere in Scandinavia together, and because of the routing we had to have the Pulp Airways. We had to have our own plane. So we were there with the Blur lads, and they said, "Oh, what are you doing next?" "Oh, we're flying over to this gig in Iceland. Fancy coming?" They went, "Yeah, all right. Well, you can jump on our plane with us, you know." So they did, and we had a nice time. But yeah, it's strange having your own aircraft.
I don't know if you...
Again, from a transit van that's held together with gaffer tape. Your own
to the private jet.
Your own aircraft.
It's a whole different world.
It was hired from Lithuania, so it was a little bit ramshackle. Don't think it's airs and graces, you know.
Yeah, so Pulp headlined the inaugural V Festival and win the 1996 Mercury Prize, having missed out 2 years prior. Were you bothered about awards, or...?
Not massively. It's just a good excuse for a night out, really. But certainly with the Mercury Prize, I know we'd missed out very, very closely with His and Hers, which was...
I think M People won it.
Won by M People, you know. Cod Soup, Market Soul. Whatever you want. And we're a bit miffed because we thought, we could fancy a check for 25 grand, thank you very much. But then when it came round to Different Class being nominated, we'd seen what had happened to M People. We'd seen what happened to a lot of the previous winners, and it always seemed to have a bit of a curse, a bit of a kiss of death, the Mercury Prize. Everyone seemed to really struggle after being awarded it. So we were there in the fancy hotel where the awards were being given, and we said, I bet we're going to win this chuffing thing. So we said, right, it's got a curse. It's going to do us in. So nobody touch the award. That's where the curse resides. All right, yeah, good idea.
So Pulp broke the curse.
Good idea, Jarvis.
Mercury Awards.
Well, so, and the winner of the 1996 Mercury is Pulp, Different Class. We pop the champagne. We all like a traipse up onto the stage. Don't touch the award. So they're trying to give it to us. Everyone's kind of walking past the award and not touching it. Eventually, Mark caves in and picks the award up. Jarvis immediately gives away the prize money. Yeah, he don't quite discuss that with everyone. So I've obviously thought, if you take the money, that's maybe where some of the curse resides as well. So he gave that away to charity straight away. Fair enough, no bother. But Mark had touched the Mercury Prize, and we said, he said don't touch it. I couldn't just leave them there. So we had to, and for the listeners out there, did the curse carry on? Discuss. Did it or not?
Part 3 sometime. We'll talk about that down the line. So speaking of awards, earlier in the year, the Brit Awards had taken place at Earls Court.
Yes.
So talk us through your recollection of events.
Yeah, so, you're nominated at the Brit Awards, various categories.
Played a song.
Yes, so it was at Earls Court, I believe. For all these TV things, you've got interminable amounts of rehearsal and all this kind of stuff, and it really gets on your nerves. So we're there the day before, we rehearse our song, sort of Freeze and Whizz, all fun, and Michael Jackson was there, and so we watched his rehearsal of his Earth song, kind of, again, open mouth going, what is all this rubbish about? What is he doing? I mean, obviously, we were, very parochially saying, it's the Brit Awards, he's not even British, what's he doing here? And all that kind of stuff. And so we watched it and thought, what a load of tosh. Anyway, comes the day of the actual Brit Awards itself. And, well, first off, myself and Russell were a bit miffed because we didn't get any red carpet treatment. We were just in this queue with a hoiple again. Why aren't we in the red carpet? Well, never mind, just get in. So he piles in. It all starts. We play our tune and then can get stuck into the Brit Awards supplied red wine. Thank you very much, Brit Awards. And it just kept coming. So all sat there, shooting the breeze, etc. And then it comes to Michael Jackson's doing his song towards the end. Starts, plopping his way through Earth song. And then, Jarvis...
It goes on a bit from memory.
It goes on for hours. So Jarvis is chuntering away about, this. And Candida, the chaos sim, she's there going, you would never do anything about it. You just all talk. You just sit there, do something about it. Yeah. So he kind of went, because Manners, who was the, again, previous bass player, which is actually Candida's boyfriend at the time, they said, come on, we're going to do something about it. So we were at the table was right next to the stage, and there was just this short sort of gangplank onto the stage where there's no security or anything. So literally Jarvis jumps up with Manners and they run across this gangway towards the stage. Manners, very, very unlike him, realises this is a bad idea, stops, turns around and goes back to the seat. He's usually pretty headstrong, getting into all kinds of scrapes. Anyway, Jarvis is committed now, onto the stage. We're like, yeah, go on. Onto the stage, running around, messing about. Never moaned to the audience, which people seem to say he did. He never did that. No. Runs around a bit, comes back a bit breathless. He's not an athlete. And everyone's just like going, we've stood on chairs, fantastic, what a lark. That's brilliant. Everyone pew slapping away. Well done, pricking that bubble, So anyway, the show finishes, we traipse backstage, took it into some more free Brits ale. Thank you much, thank you Brits. And then the SH1T hits the fan. Police, next minute, no, that was not.
Jarvis being congratulated.
Everyone's congratulating, that was brilliant. Everyone's having a right good time. Next minute, our Coventry born tour manager comes in and goes, oh, Michael's not very happy. He's not very happy. I've just been up with these people. He's not very happy. What?
Presumably his entourage was extensive.
Yeah, and furious. Absolutely furious. So the next minute, two policemen are arresting Jarvis for allegedly assaulting some
children.
Some of Michael Jackson's child performers. Obviously, Michael Jackson got child performers. We'll say nothing more about that, perhaps.
So if there's anyone listening who hasn't seen this, Michael Jackson's on the stage as a sort of Jesus or God
Messianic
type figure,
yes,
with loads of children around him, sort of set up to kind of worship him from memory.
Ragamuffin children.
Yeah, quite a strange performance.
Yeah, with sort of a Moses figure with them. Yeah. So he's healing the earth with his music. But one thing I was thinking when I was writing the book actually was what would have happened, because when Jarvis runs on the stage, Michael's atop of this huge cherry picker that's sort of been swung across the audience, doing his all this kind of stuff. What would have happened if Michael wasn't on the cherry picker, was just moonwalking across the stage and Jarvis is running up?
He was past his moonwalking days by 96.
What would have happened then? Again, listeners, discuss amongst yourselves. So then the police turn up backstage. Jarvis is arrested. We've got Bob Mortimer trying to offer his services. He'd been on the Brits free red wine quite a bit, to be honest.
If you read the Pulp Wikipedia page, it does say that Bob Mortimer was the solicitor involved in getting Jarvis out the police, which I believe is false.
I don't think that's right. No, he was offering his services quite loudly and quite...
Because he had been a solicitor in his earlier life.
Not a very good one, I don't think. But anyway, so carted off, and then we were just gobsmacked, and we didn't really care. We just thought it was good fun.
So did Jarvis actually spend a night in the police station?
He spent the night in the cells. He was arrested, and then obviously again yet another enormous furore erupted around all that kind of business, which we thought was just great fun. Any kind of controversy, it helps the band. So we're thinking, yeah, well done, Geoff, good. But I think it kind of, it affected him quite a bit in a way.
Right, yeah. In the long term.
In the long term, yeah, because he just had that massive glare of national publicity and that.
But the fallout ends up U-turning, because the tide completely turns, because the public actually side with Jarvis.
Yeah, well, that was one of the most amazing things about it. It was, Jarvis's public enemy number one. How dare he go and flosh his bottom at Michael Jackson at this, this great celebration of British music, blah, blah, blah. How dare he, this yobbo and all this kind of stuff. Northern oik. And then I think it was David Bowie that started the twist at the turn of the revolution.
Had he filmed it?
He had filmed it. He got a video camera and filmed it, and
David Bowie himself was holding the camera, because I remember camera footage appearing.
Yeah, I think so.
Within a day or two.
Yeah, and he said, I've got this other angle that shows you a different perspective, and show that Jarvis didn't push any kids off the stage, didn't push anyone. It was in fact Michael Jackson's security guard, who was dressed as Moses at the time, trying to get through to Jarvis, who was knocking the kids like
a bit like U2's security back in part one that we
Indeed.
so they all steam in,
and then I know it was on, I think it was TFI Friday, Chris Evans saying, we've got this other angle supplied by David Bowie that shows that Jarvis is completely innocent. And then there was this sort of, seemed to be this groundswell of opinion against the tabloids.
Because this was an international story.
Yeah.
And all the American media were
Yeah.
siding with the Michael Jackson
Of
side
course,
initially.
and all the Michael Jackson fans were, of course, fuming about it all. You know, how dare you invade the Messiah's stage with his kids and all
But
that.
it kind of turns around. I think there were calls for Jarvis to be knighted.
Yeah, all that daft kind of stuff. Yeah, Jarvis is innocent, okay, and all that kind of stuff. And it was great to see that maybe the tabloid press don't have it all their own way all the time. You know, sometimes they always have the reverse ferret. You know, say, hey, we trumpeted said that Jarvis was right all along. You kind of go, hold on a minute, this news front cover from 2 days ago says Jarvis is a uncouth yobbo. What are you on about? No, he's innocent. Jarvis is definitely innocent. No, all right, there you go. Shows them up for the, what they are.
So obviously it made Jarvis a much bigger star with certainly with Middle England and the general public, but maybe in the long term, maybe it became a little bit of a millstone.
It was I think it was very much a millstone. Yeah, for ages after any interview, he was always talking about Michael Jackson and the Brit Awards thing. Why do I have to keep talking about this? You know, all the time. So, yeah.
Well, there we go. We've just done Pulp 1995, 1996 with Nick Banks. Pulp, you're still out there with Pulp now touring?
Yeah, we're in August 2020. We've just come back from Scandinavia, going to America in a few weeks and play out there.
Pulp's audience in America has grown over time.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Anything next year, or is this year the end?
Well, we can't really predict the future. We're going to Japan. We are going to Japan in January for a couple of gigs. We'll just see what turns up. Who knows?
See what happens, yeah. Well, there we go. So thank you to Nick.
No problem.
Thank you to everyone for listening. Obviously, do the usual. If you enjoyed this, please leave us a review online. And thank you to Nick. His book's out on Omnibus Press. So there we go. Yes, so Mark, you did not get to participate in this episode about Pulp, but you still have to face the traditional 3 true or false questions. First question. Pulp double A-side single, Misshapes and Sorted Freeze and Whizz, was kept off number 1 by Simply Red, Fairground.
Obviously, I don't know the answer to this, so it's pure guess. Why are you asking me that? Why Simply Red?
Because Common People, Misshapes and Sorted Freeze and Whizz all got to number 2, but none of them broke number 1.
Oh, okay.
Common People was kept off 1 by Robson and Jerome.
I don't know if Fairground got to number 1, so I'm saying no, that it wasn't that.
True. Simply Red had quite a few number 1s in this era.
What album's that? Is that off Stars?
No, this is
it's the only album. It's the only Simply Red album I've ever listened
1996, so it's a bit later.
I went on holiday once to Tuscany, and we only had 1 CD in the car, and it was Stars by Simply Red.
So you know every song then?
Well, I don't know any of the tracks on it. It's a good album. Look, I'm going to recommend another podcast. No, I'm not meant to.
You can, absolutely.
But there is a podcast. What is it? Oh, it's Oh Brother. Yeah, The Fall, the Oh Brother podcast. And they had Mick on there talking about his punk days.
Right.
Very interesting. Well worth a listen.
That sounds really interesting. Pulp member Mark Webber was previously president of the Pulp fan club.
Now, I've got a feeling, I'm going to admit I've not read Mark's book yet. Hello, Mark.
We're going to do him on the podcast at some stage, though, for sure.
But I've got a feeling he has some connection with it. But no, surely not. No, I can't imagine him. I've seen Mark. He doesn't look like the president of a fan club. Well, not the Pulp fan club. I could imagine him being president of the Joe Meek fan club. I'm saying no to that.
True. Again, he was originally president of the Pulp fan club prior to joining.
Wow.
Third and final question. Pulp track Masters of the Universe was inspired by He-Man, Skeletor, Beastman, and the inhabitants of Eternia. As seen on, of course, He-Man, Masters of the Universe.
Again, I'm tempted to say no to that because I think Jarvis. So when I think of Masters of the Universe, I think of the book by Bonfire of the Vanities by Tom Wolfe, and that feels more Jarvis. Actually, no. Oh, geez, I'm going to say no, but it could be yes. But I'm saying no because I think it's Tom Wolfe.
Completely false. Completely and utterly false. Just made it up out of thin air.
I bet, and I don't know if Nick or Mark Webber or indeed Jarvis himself can confirm this. Masters of the Universe surely is a hint to that Tom Wolfe book, Bonfire of the Vanities.
I'm sure it is.
Tom Hanks.
I'm sure it is.
Not a great movie.
Whenever I hear Master of the Universe, I just think of He-Man, Skeletor, etc.
And that tells you all you need to know, listeners, about Simon Cardwell.
At the end of each episode, we each recommend something you've liked for a long time, something you've recently discovered. Mark, you look poised and ready here.
I've got so many things.
Only one at a time.
I've spent the last couple of weeks of Christmas watching a load of telly, and you've noticed lately I've been doing a lot of telly things. SAS Rogue Heroes, people. BBC One, fantastic, based on the book by Ben McIntyre.
What does it involve?
What more do you need to know? It's about the SAS, and they are rogue and heroic in the desert. Anyway, I've enjoyed that. It's about the SAS in the Second World War.
There we go. You watch an incredible amount of TV. I'm going to recommend Sunset Across the Bay, Alan Bennett play. You familiar with this?
I am not familiar.
Filmed in Morecambe. I watched this on the iPlayer not long ago. Incredible visuals of Morecambe in the 70s, I think it's filmed. It's about a couple who move from Leeds to Morecambe to retire, and they can't stand it, and it doesn't really work out, but it's fantastic.
I have been reading the latest Alan Bennett book over Christmas. It's very, very short, but it's been designated by me as a toilet book. So it's in our bathroom if I need to.
More information than anyone needs.
So I haven't finished it, although it's very short. Must only be about 90 pages. But again, classic Bennett, very good. But no, appreciate that recommendation. I will go and seek it out. Is it on iPlayer or somewhere?
It was when I watched it. Stephen Frears directed it. Written by Alan. So, it's amazing.
I love the way you say Alan, as though you and he are your pals.
As though we are pals. Well, maybe one day we will. He might come to one of our events.
Stephen Frears, though, one of the best phone calls I ever got was in the late 90s when I had a phone call, and it was from Malcolm McLaren. Malcolm McLaren was trying to get through to Tony Wilson because he wanted to talk to Tony about licensing Love Will Tear Us Apart for a film he was doing with Stephen Frears. I felt very connected.
Did it happen?
I think it did. It with the track. He wanted to mix Love Will Tear Us Apart with Captain and Tennille's Love Will Keep Us Together. And I think it happened. I think it's on YouTube. But I just love the idea that I was in this phone call, obviously with Malcolm. So all that remains is to, say thank you to Nick for a fabulous talk, and thanks for coming on Music Maps. I am, of course, bereft that I wasn't in the pub in Sheffield. It was Sheffield, wasn't it? With Simon and Nick.
It was a beer garden of a pub.
Even better.
Suburb of Sheffield.
I was in Spain, I think. Was I on holiday in Mallorca? I think that's the reason.
I think you might have been on holiday.
Was it sunny in Sheffield?
The weather was decent, we sat outside.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, during the recording, someone flew a drone directly overhead while we were trying to record, and someone in a nearby housing estate got out like a really noisy drill. So there was a few technical problems.
Yeah, podcast producers will appreciate Simon's pain here. But big thanks to Nick. Very well worth going out and searching out his book. And Pulp are out on tour this year, so get out and see them.